welcome back to part 29 of starting a fountain pen collection. We're coming to the end of season 1, and today's episode I want to talk to you about the top 10 pens in my collection. Let me start with number 10. I decided to put this TWSBI Eco Clear in the top 10 because it's something new. I mean, TWSBI is fairly new in the fountain pen world compared to the other makes, and some of the innovation has been quite eye-opening, and I really enjoyed using this pen, and it's one of the reasons why I started to collect fountain pens again, because for the price range it's inexpensive and you get a good quality pen in return. So this is a demonstrator pen, so you can see the ink flow in the pen. So this is everything ideal if you know the level of ink is important to you, and also to look at it as well. I mean, each time you put a different color in the pen, it changes the pen. So here I have some red ink from Herbin, and it's almost injecting life into the pen. So this is why I put this at number 10. I think these pens are around below the $50 mark, so it's well worth recommended if that's in your price range. For number 9, decided to put in the Coco. This pen, it's about engineering. So you can shorten the pen if you so desire, and not many pens on the market can do this. There are a few, but in terms of engineering, the Coco brass, this one is the Coco Supra in a broad nib. So, and it's also very solid, well built. There's no clip on it, so that's probably the downside. So if you're on the table, it will kind of roll off. But I kind of put this in the top 10 because I like the uniqueness of a pen. And for number 8, I decided to put in the Graf von FaberCastell. This is not the prettiest pen in the world, but I like the design again. The German design, it's very nice. It has a black matte finish, so you don't see the fingerprint marks on the pen. So, and that's also very handy. And also it has a snap-on cap, and when you post it, it's also very smooth. But the selling point, obviously, it's a calligraphy set. So it comes in 3 different nib sizes, 1.1, 1.4 and 1.8. So it's interchangeable set, you can see here. And I think that's for me, it's the fascination of this pen. I mean, it's a good quality set, and it's interchangeable. If I don't really like the nib size, I can just change clean, and yeah, I enjoy using this, having this pen in my top 10 collection. On number 7, I decided to go with a Parker. Normally I don't really consider Parker too much, but for this model here, I quite like the design. It's contemporary design. It's the Parker Sonnet Subtle Big Red. So this is paying homage to Parker release of the Duofold in 1921 in the Big Red. So this is a small, subtle, you know, a reminder of that era, and I kind of like it for that reason. It's a black lacquer finish. The nib is an 18K nib. It's in a medium, so you know it's quite a nice size as well. So from time to time, if I need to ride a lot, I will actually come and pick up this pen. For number 6, I have Italian pen. It's Visconti. So this is the Visconti Rembrandt in red. I just like the design. It's a standout pen in my collection. I don't have many red pens. I think it's probably the only one. And when I put all the pens together, this one is standing out quite nicely. Also, I changed the tip of the cap, so I put in a zodiac sign of the snake, and you know it's kind of unique to me. I mean, it's not the most expensive pen. I think it's under the $160 mark. So it's quite a nice addition. It's a steel nib, but in terms of looks, you know, I really like it a lot, which is why I put this in at number 6. For number 5, I have, if I can find it, the Sailor pens. Actually, I put in number 4 at the same time. So in 5th place and 4th place are the Sailor pens. Why I did that was because actually they have different nibs. So the 1911 pen I will put in the 5th place as a fine nib, and it's a 14K nib, so it's very springy, and actually it's not the most unique design compared to the other pens, but in terms of performance, then you will enjoy this quite a lot, because you get that extra spring in this 14K gold nib. It's just right so smooth, and this is why it's in the 5th place. For 4th place, I've also put in the Sailor Pro Gear, and this is the slim version. And actually this is a zoom nib, so this is quite unique as well. There's no other pen maker that is offering something similar to this nib. It's a zoom nib, so it's extremely broad, but you can have different line variation if you hold the pen at a different angle. And actually I quite like this pen because it really showcases the ink. If that's important to you, then this is probably the pen to go. Again, it's a 14K nib. It's very smooth, and I like this pen a lot. In 3rd place, I decided to put in the Roar Talentum. Again, it's a very basic design. It's a black lacquer with the gold trim. It has an oversized nib, which I like, and the pen itself is oversized, so it's 15mm in diameter. So you know, there's a good, you know, you need to really wrap your hands around this, and I like it because it has impact. This is not a normal size pen, so when you go to an office or when you're signing documents, then this will always make an impact. And I think that this is why it's in the top 3 for me. It's not necessarily a big, you know, a showcase brand name people can see and notice, but actually in effect the oversize is the selling point for me in this pen. And also it has a 14K nib. This is in a fine, so you're gonna get some very elegant writing with this pen. And which brings me down to number 2. Bear with me a second. It has to be Mont Blanc. I mean, for me, Mont Blanc is something that Um, I wanted to avoid for a long time. Um, the pen styles are very similar, and for me, Mont Blanc is a machine. It's recognized everywhere in the world, and if that's important to you, a Mont Blanc is a selling point. So the logo here, instantly recognizable. Every time I use this pen, you get comments regarding about the pen, the quality. People know what it is. People know what it costs. And when you clip it on your shirt or you post it, you in effect you're walking advertising machine for this pen. And I mean, for me, I purchased this pen after seeing some CEOs carrying the Mont Blanc pens. I mean, for me, it's almost a status symbol now with this pen. The performance is very, very good, but it's often overlooked, if I might add. Even when I purchased this pen from a department store, the lady really didn't know too much about the pen. Wasn't allowed to test the pen because maintenance would have been difficult for them, apparently. So they're just a marketing machine, but actually they are good quality pens. So if the brand name is important to you, Mont Blanc is the way to go. Uh, I guess you should start saving up for Mont Blanc, because they are not cheap. Which brings me down to number one. Now, I've had some trouble deciding, how to get to a number one. But, collecting pens for quite some time now, I decided, what was important. Was I going to look at the cost of the pen, how much it was going to cost, and actually decided to go with a Visconti, because this represents something that what I was looking for at the start of the collection, but actually didn't realize it. So I did not know what type of pen I was looking for, what the budget was, how it would write, what color of the pen, and this after buying a number of pens and testing a number of inks, I decided on this Visconti Salvador Dali edition of the pen. It's in a nice brown lacquer. Actually, it has a steel nib, but it actually writes very smooth. It's in a medium. So it just goes to show, actually, not necessarily you don't really necessarily need to have a 14, 18K, 23K nib to have good pen performance. I mean, you can find a good pen performance on a budget. The pen itself is around the $250 mark. I mean, I just like the design. It's there's a gold trim. There's Dali's signature on the cap there. I mean, it's just full of features everywhere. On the cap itself, it has this inspired by the surrealism painting with the clocks melting. I mean, I just like the features of that. I mean, it symbolizes everything that I want in a pen. The melting clocks is something that's interesting. For me, it kind of represents, well, for him, it kind of represents distortion of time, if you like. When the feeling that you wake up in the middle of the night and it's not the time that you expect. And for me, as a writer, a user of pens, I think it's quite nicely designed. in such a way that when I look at it, it kind of reminds me to slow down a little bit with the time, and take some time into figuring out what I need to write before I actually write it. The brown is a classic color. The gold trim is always extravagant, and I mean it's just a thing that I could just look at all day. I mean the Italians know how to make a good looking pen, um, and to be honest, I would be happy to buy more pens of this kind at this price range, rather than just a plain old black pen for $1,000. I can buy 4 of these and enjoy each and every one of them. So if you enjoyed the top 10, like and subscribe, and hopefully I will catch you in the next episode. You can also find me on Instagram for the latest posts and pen purchases, but for now I'm gonna enjoy my Visconti Salvador Dali. Thank you very much for watching.